solving equations with 0, 1, or infinitely many solutions. This is a new idea. So previous to this, when you've solved equations, you end up with x equals a number, or y or z, or whatever your variable is. You get it to equal a number. That's one thing that can happen. Another thing that can happen when you're solving an equation is the x's can cancel themselves completely, and all you're left with is a number equals a number. So in total, there are 3 things that can happen when we're solving equations. The first thing that can happen is you get x equals a number, or whatever your variable is. And in that case, that means there is one solution. It's the one you already came up with. Done. We've already seen that. That's what we've seen so far. Right. The next part is you can have a number equals a number, and these 2 numbers are the same number, like 7 equals 7, or 1 equals 1, or -2 equals -2. In that case, there are infinitely many solutions. So there are infinite number of numbers you can plug in that will make this equation true. In fact, you could plug in any number and it would make that equation true. It doesn't rely on the variable part at all. The last thing that could happen is you could have a number equals a number and these 2 numbers are different. So something like 7 equals 8, or -5 equals +5, or 0 equals -9. Those are different numbers. In that case, there's no solution. There's no number you can plug in that will make that statement true. None at all. So any one of these 3 things can happen when you're solving an equation. It's just important to kind of look out for them. For the most part, this is what happens. You get one solution and you move on with your life. But these ones can happen every once in a while. So we're going to start by solving these equations the same way we've done all along. We're going to distribute, combine like terms, and do all the stuff we've already learned and love to do. So I'm going to distribute on both the places where I can. I'm going to draw a little wall. If you haven't seen my videos, I just do this to keep track of where the equal sign is and make sure I'm doing something on both sides. 6 times y is going to be 6y, minus 6 times 2 is 12. The plus 2 carries down. 2 times 3y is 6y, minus 5 times 2 is 10. On my left-hand side, I have some like terms I can combine, -12 and plus 2. So I will leave the 6y alone. -12 plus 2 is -10, equals 6y minus 10. Now, if you do these enough times, you'll start to notice this step here as being important, but let's go forward a little bit. All right, I'm going to move the y's over, so I do minus 6y on both sides, and it cancels here, and it also cancels here. So all you're left with is -10 equals -10, which is a true statement. If you left with a number equals a number and it's a true statement, that means there are infinitely many answers. What's important about this step right here is you have each side being equal to one another. So if you have one side equal to the other, they're the same on both sides, it's going to be an infinitely many answers situation. Let's do another example. All right, so here we have -2 times v plus 3 equals 3 times v plus 4 plus 7. Once again, starting our traditional way. Oops, let me grab my pen. I'm going to go ahead and distribute. All right, now -2 times v is -2v. -2 times +3 is -6. 3 times v is 3v, plus 3 times 4 is 12, plus 7. Combining any like terms, there's none on the left, but on the right-hand side, we have this 12 and this 7. So I will leave the left alone. 3v, 12 plus 7 is 19, so plus 19. I'm going to move my variables to the left-hand side because personally that's what I like to do. This is a personal decision that you can make as long as you're doing mathematically sound steps. It doesn't matter if you move it to the left or the right. Okay, so those three v's are going to cancel. Negative 2v minus 3v will be negative 5v minus 6 equal to 19. I'm sorry if you just heard a rumbling noise. My phone was too close to the speaker and just vibrated. I will move it away. All right, so negative 5v minus 6 equals 19. I'm now going to get the v completely by itself by adding 6 to both sides. So now I have negative 5v, and the 6 is canceled, by the way. 19 plus 6 is going to give me 25. At this point right here, I know that I'm going to have one answer to this, because when I subtracted the v's, they didn't cancel completely. At this step right here, if there were going to be no solution or infinitely many solutions, they would cancel at this step, but they didn't, so I'm going to have one solution here. Divide by negative 5 on both sides. 25 divided by negative 5 is going to give me negative 5 as an answer. So to this one, there is one solution. The solution is negative 5. All right, let's do one last example. So negative 2 times the quantity x plus 4 plus 6x equals 4 times the quantity x minus 3. Surprise, we're going to start with distributing. That's how it works. All right, so negative 2 times x is going to give you negative 2x. Negative 2 times 4 is negative 8, and then the 6x will come down. 4 times x is 4x, minus 4 times 3 is 12. There are like terms on the left-hand side. I'm going to combine those. Negative 2x plus 6x is going to give me 4x, and then the minus 8 will stay. 4x minus 12 on the other side. And you know something weird's going to happen here because there are 4x's on both sides. So when I go to subtract, it's going to cancel both of them. And these aren't the same statement. So maybe you have a little bit of foresight here and you can see that something weird is going to happen. It's good to kind of catch that ahead of time. So I'm going to subtract the 4x's, solve it like I normally would. They cancel on both sides. And now I'm left with negative 8 is equal to negative 12, which is clearly a false statement, right? You can't have negative 8 equal to negative 12. That would really break mathematics as we know it. So if we get a number equal to a number and it is a false statement, that's going to mean that there is no solution. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do to check your answer when you have infinitely many solutions or no solution. I guess with infinitely many, you could plug in any number and it should work. But with no solution, there's not a really good way to check it, so just be sure your math looks good. All right, that's all there is for this topic. Keep doing your best and believe in yourself.